Ross and Rachel were like two puzzle pieces that were meant to fit together. Their love was this crazy, beautiful energy that crackled in the air around them. And when Rachel was on that plane, it was like a part of the universe was out of whack. She had this chance to make things right, to jump off that plane and run into Ross's arms. It wasn't just about a relationship. It was about following that gut feeling, that inner pull that was guiding her. If she didn't, it would be like leaving a song unfinished, a painting half painted. She had to get off that plane because the universe was screaming at her to do it. Their love was too powerful to be ignored, like a shooting star streaking across the sky. It was meant to be, and she should have listened to that and gotten off the plane.
Oh, sure, because nothing says outlasting love like a dramatic airport chase that belongs in a rom-com from 1987. Look, I get it. Ross and Rachel's relationship is like one of those roller coasters. You regret getting on but can't get off because the safety bar is stuck. But let's be real here. Running after someone at the last minute doesn't scream true love. It screams impulsive decision-making. If Rachel stayed on that plane, she'd actually be doing something revolutionary, choosing herself for once. Think about it. Ross didn't exactly have the best track record when it came to relationships. Remember the time he accidentally married a lesbian? Or how he treated Carol during their divorce? Oh, wait, or maybe we should talk about Emily. Yeah, his trophy wife who they swore he'd never hurt again until, oops, he did. Rachel getting off the plane would have been yet another example of her putting everyone else's needs before hers. And trust me, as someone who spent years cracking jokes instead of dealing with my own feelings, that kind of self-sacrifice might seem romantic, but it's not healthy. Sometimes staying on the plane means choosing growth over nostalgia. It means realizing that true love isn't about grand gestures, it's about showing up consistently, even when there aren't cameras rolling or planes boarding. So, no, Rachel shouldn't have gotten off the plane. She needed to fly toward her future, not sprint back into...
But see, that future without Ross, it's like a song without a melody. Their love was this wild, untamed thing, and to just let it go, that's like throwing away a perfectly good magic wand. Ross's mistakes, they were like bumps on a crazy, beautiful road. He learned from them, he grew, and their love was worth fighting for. Rachel getting off that plane wasn't just about Ross. It was about listening to that voice inside her that was screaming for something real. It was about taking a chance on the kind of love that makes your heart race and your palms sweat. And yeah, maybe it was a bit impulsive, but sometimes the best things in life are. It wasn't about sacrificing herself. It was about choosing the thing that made her soul sing. Staying on that plane, that's like choosing a gray day over a rainbow. She should have gotten off and run into Ross's arms because their love was a force of nature, and you don't just let that go without a fight.
Oh, please. If their love was such a sunny force of nature, why did it need so many pep talks, apologies, and therapy sessions to keep it alive? Let's not confuse wild and untamed with dysfunctional with frequent commercial breaks. Sure, Ross Sev learned he punched from his mistakes, except for the part where he kept making them over again. Because nothing says growth like repeatedly messing up relationships, expecting everyone else to adjust their lives around your emotional chaos. And let's talk about this magical voice inside Rachel that supposedly told her to get off the plane. Was it the same voice that made her date guys who were all wrong for her? The same one that had her chasing after bad decisions in the first place? Trust me, I know a thing or two about ignoring red flags. I married Monica. Kidding, mostly. But seriously, following your heart sounds great in theory, unless your heart has been wrong more times than Joey's auditions. Here's the truth. Staying on the plane wasn't about settling for gray skies. It was about Rachel finally taking control of her life instead of letting nostalgia write her script. Love shouldn't feel like running through an airport. It should feel like coming home. And if Ross really wanted to fight for her, maybe he could have tried something less dramatic, like, oh, I don't know, like kind of screwing things up in the first place. So no, she didn't need to jump into his arms at the last second. She needed to stay seated, buckle up, and trust that real love doesn't demand grand gestures. It earns...
But that's just it. Their love was messy, sure, but that's what made it real. It was like a crazy quilt, all patched together with mistakes and makeups. And those pep talks and therapy sessions, they were like stitches mending their love stronger. Ross's mistakes were part of his journey, and Rachel loved him through it all. That voice inside Rachel, it was her soul talking, not some misguided impulse. It was the same voice that knew she belonged with Ross, even when her mind had doubts. And just because she made some wrong turns before doesn't mean she should have missed out on the real thing. Staying on that plane wasn't taking control. It was giving up on the most amazing connection she'd ever had. Love that I should feel like running through an airport for the person you can't live without. And Ross did fight in his own goofy way. She should have gotten off the plane because their love was a once-in-a-lifetime kind of magic. It wasn't about grand gestures earning love. It was about following that feeling that said they were meant to be together no matter what.
Oh, come on. Messy is one thing, but this relationship was like trying to solve a Rubik's Cube, blindfolded, frustrating, repetitive, and honestly, kind of pointless after a while. Sure, Ross and Rachel had their moments, but let's not confuse persistence with destiny. Just because you keep going back to something doesn't mean it's good for you. I mean, I ate an entire bag of expired pretzels once because I didn't want to waste them. It doesn't mean it was a smart decision. And this idea that staying on the plane meant giving up, no, honey. Staying on the plane meant growing up. Rachel had dreams bigger than being Ross Geller's emotional fixer-upper. She wasn't just some side character in his perpetual drama series. She was the star of her own show. Running through an airport isn't romantic. It's reckless. Real love shouldn't make you feel like you're constantly chasing someone or being chased. It should feel like, oh, I don't know, Rocker. Let's also not forget, if their connection was so magical, why did they spend half their time apart? Why did Ross marry Emily? Why did Rachel move to Paris? Magical connections don't need geography clauses. They thrive no matter where life takes you. But every time these two found themselves in separate zip codes, suddenly it was OMG, soulmates. Spare me. Rachel getting off that plane wouldn't have fixed anything long term. In fact, it probably would have turned into another chapter of the same old story. Ross messing up, Rachel leaving, rinse, repeat. Sometimes moving forward means letting go of what feels comfortable even if it hurts. So yeah, she absolutely made the right call by staying on that plane. Her soul didn't talk her out of anything. It led her toward